Good evening, folks. Welcome to Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Al Huey along with Robert Eierman. And our special guest tonight is Mr. Doug Lewick
Yes.
from RACVB. I'm sure you've heard that acronym, RACVB. What does it mean? Doug.
Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Okay. So you have to do with bringing outsiders in and setting those kind of things up and
Yes, sir.
and bringing a little bit of extra cash into our coffers.
That's what
So-
we do.
What mainly have you guys been involved in and over the years, and what's going on in the horizon?
Well, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as the Film Commission, that's what we are. We're two sides of the house. As you know, that we work on a lot of films, have been for many years. My predecessor, Ray Arthur, did. Example, in June and July, or excuse me, May and June, looking at my notes, we had 33 days of filming. That was based on areas from Fossil Falls as far as Cuddyback Dry Lake, Eierman Airport, the Pinnacles. Different commercials is what was related to. I think we had one small little feature film in there, maybe it was 1 or 2 days, a little segment. But the number that it goes to is right around 900,000 for the community.
For just those 2 months?
For those 2 months.
That's terrific.
Yeah, and it's based on hotels, restaurants. There's a formula we use. Actually, the number is a real conservative number I used. If I went by the film standards, it would be closer to 1.4 million, but I really look at the realistic numbers. I look at it, how many rooms did you actually take rather than just an average number. So I try to come up real hard with hard numbers.
And how does that break down to the money to our favorite entity, the city?
Well, there's taxation, the TOT.
Yes, and I meant in dollar amounts. How much does that $900,000 correlate to?
It would be something that we'd have to look at because some of it may not be taxation that they paid. Like hotels, it's pretty easy. If they took up 33 filming days, you divide that in how many rooms they might have taken up, you come up with TOT. Sales tax, if they was in restaurants or they went to Walgreens, it's kind of easy to follow. But there's some other non-taxable things that would be hard to grab onto.
Right.
But there's actually would be a bump there on all that.
Yeah, well, where I was trying to go is sometimes in the community, people are distressed by the amount of money that the city gives the RACVB. And what I was trying to do was go to a place where you were showing that the RACVB actually pays for itself in money returned to the city in taxes.
Well, I can explain it to you. We're on a T-bit, which is it's a 2% the hotels collect from our travelers. And so if it's $100, your hotel room, they collect $2. That $2 goes to the city. City takes a little small amount for their admin people, then I get that balance of the $2.
Okay.
And so the city does not put any money into the RCVB out of the general fund, zero. Actually, they get a little bit because of but it's actually a break even for their admin to handle the money.
Okay.
So that's where our money comes from. And now it used to be the city would fund us. We had a line item in the general budget that they would fund us the X amount of money.
Yes.
But that's now gone.
Okay.
So actually the money we get from the hotels are actually from our travelers, from these folks here. So there's none of this money that we receive actually, unless your mother stays for one night and she she pays into the taxation, but the citizens and the city does not pay any of our way. We gather that from our visitors and from the filming folks.
That's good to know, both for myself and for our viewing public.
I know I was with the FAA before I retired. We used to have our offices out at the Eierman Airport, and there were a lot of films being done out there, mostly car commercials at that time.
And most of these
pretty
are
much the case.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, they've had several. Here a while back, they had one of the bigger ones in a Super Bowl that was shot out there. I can't remember what year it was, maybe 5, 6 years ago, something like that.
Well, this year we actually had a Super Bowl. It was the Jack in the Box. We had this year, so we did that one.
Okay.
And it's still playing. It's Jack on a motorcycle. Looks like the Pinnacles. You might see one of those. They just kind of play it off and on. But that was done here for the
What do we
Super
have
Bowl.
coming up in the near future?
Right now we've got a commercial going right now. We probably on average 2 a week right now. We're just busy with that. It's really good right now for us. It just a lot of I can't talk about because it's kind of secret stuff. They don't want to know that the Ford or Infinity's out there because the next guy comes in quickly and they want to get it. So we have to kind of, unless they want to give us a release on it, we don't say much about it. We just collect the money and bring them in. So.
Oh, you collect money for bringing these people?
Well, I mean, collecting money for the community, stay at the hotels and the restaurants. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Not me personally, or the RACVB, no. But there is cost, to clarify that. There is cost. Our office only collects $100. And we charge $100 for just doing the permits, getting the permits ready, and then we ship them either to the city, if it's a city function, send it within the city, or we send it to the Bureau of Land Management, or Kern County, depending on where it goes. Then they have their fees that they charge, and it's all up front. They know exactly what they have to pay. Mm-hmm. And the airport's the same thing. The airport, I do not collect for that. The airport does their own permits out there. But I do advertising for them. I push people that way because it's still economic income for the community.
Absolutely.
$100 means very little to me. I just want the people showing up.
Right. And I guess the next couple of things that we got on the horizon, and we'll talk about those when we come back, we got the petroglyphs coming up this year in November.
Yes. November, 7th and 8th.
And then in October, the USO is going to be having their 70th anniversary.
Yes, sir.
So when we get back, we'll talk a little bit about those two. Join us here on Ridgecrest Talk when we come back after the break. You're listening to Al Huey, Robert Eierman, and Mr. Doug Lewick, the Executive Director of the RACVB.
There you go.
That's okay.
Tongue talk.
Yeah, right. That's a difficult one. And welcome back to segment 2 of the Thursday evening edition of Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Robert Eierman, along with Al Huey, and this evening we're talking with Doug Lewick, the Executive Director of the RACVB, which is the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
It's a mouthful,
yes.
for sure. All right, well, when we left, we said we're going to be talking about a couple upcoming events. Let's talk first about the USO 70th anniversary, and that's in October. I don't have the exact dates in front of me. Do you recall what they were?
It's the,
like
no,
16th,
I'm sure I don't.
17th, something like that.
17th, 18th, somewhere there.
But there was a meeting recently. You were there.
Yes, sir.
Justin O'Neill from the city was there. I think Jason also was there from the
Tex
city.
Hopkins was there.
Tex, what's his last name?
Hopkins.
Hoppus?
Yeah.
Hoppus
Yeah.
from the USO, and then we had a captain and Dina from the Navy there. Can you tell us a little bit about the meeting and what was discussed and what the plans are?
Basically, we came together to just try to get the format, what we were looking for, where we actually wanted to hold the event. I'm not sure.
Who was the lead on this, the USO?
The Historical Society started it, and we started it out, and then it just kind of blossomed from there, and the rest of the folks got involved. And so we actually had a little tour of where they actually wanted to hold the large meeting, the get together, and we looked at the school district, we looked at different areas, went out to the airport and Kern-McGee Fairgrounds, and so they're going to make a decision exactly where we're going to have that. I'm not sure, I've not heard where it's going to be at, but the RACV's position with this is we're going to be very supportive if it's financially, of course the limitations of the finances, but we'll finance it the best we can. We will of course help promote that, and we will help facilitate any rooms they may need. The hotels work very well with us and trying to facilitate the folks coming here and cost-wise. So our job is to make sure it happens, so when they give us a call, then we
You
respond.
talked about promoting it. How would that happen?
It'd be locally, if they want us to put it in the paper, if we want to send out, type of invitations, and as the cost of that, we would do that, and those type of things. Anything that would get the finances off the back of the rest of the folks, we're willing to step in and do that.
What were
And-
some of the concerns, desires, wants, if you will, of that meeting, what they wanted to accomplish in general?
Well, like I say, number one was to find the location, what kind of food do you want to serve, how do you want to serve it, who's going to talk. It was a general meeting of how you're going to put something together. It's like having a party put together. How are we going to do this? What times? And, do
Well,
we
I heard
want-
something about bringing in Bob Hope USO troop.
Yeah, there's some, that's correct. And I'm not sure much about that. I just know I heard them talking about that. And they'd bring them in and we'd facilitate those folks in a night stay and then move them out. Yes, that's correct.
And then what were some of the things? I understand the Navy was asking for a few things at the meeting. Do you know what?
No, not for sure. I would
Okay.
not want to comment because I'm not, like I say, I was there in the meeting, but it was a large meeting. There was probably 25 people there and you know how things, so it was just one of, it was an informative meeting, trying to everybody come together, and that's where I stepped up. So.
Justin, at a recent council meeting, gave a short
Yes.
presentation about it. And one of the things that I found interesting, according to him, is they were looking at it being between the Kerr-McGee building and the USO building.
That's correct.
So closing off some streets where people could travel back and forth, and the Navy requesting that golf carts be provided to transport people back and forth. And the Navy didn't want to or couldn't provide any financial support, but I'm thinking, well, what golf course are we going to get those golf courts from here in Ridgecrest? The Navy has a golf
Yeah.
course, and they have golf carts, right?
All right.
So I just thought that interesting that they wanted the city to provide this, but then
Well, that's probably, if I was requested to do that, I would probably try to step in and help them some way or another. I'm not sure how I would do it. I'd have to look at how many golf carts they may want and how we would transport people. But that was something that my office would work on, help them through that process. But that's what we do. That's part of helping things
I just
like
thought
that.
it interesting that
Yeah.
that the Navy has the golf course right there, and maybe they could provide the golf course. All right. So anything else about that meeting that
No, I think we pretty
you
much-
heard then, or what you have heard since?
No, I haven't.
Do you know when the next meeting is, the follow-up
no,
meeting?
sir, I don't. Nope, I sure don't. Unless
Just,
you do.
just an interesting side note. This year is the 70th anniversary, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it occurring in October because that is the actual time frame when the USO started?
I think that's correct. And we tried to work around other dates because we've got the festival, you got the fair, you got other things around it. So I think everybody tried to work it in. It would be, we can facilitate it. And you have manpower problems if you start stacking too much and you run out of people. So
And certainly, I always associated, and clearly falsely, the USO with the war effort. But clearly 70 years ago in October, the war was over. So I guess you're clearly saying to me that the USO started after the war was over.
well, I don't know the time frame with that. I mean, you're referencing to the Historical Society building itself.
Right.
Oh, wait, 70 years.
Yeah.
This is 15.
It's
So
70, 45.
Right.
It
So I-
opened in 45, I know
Yeah,
that.
Right.
Okay.
So I think-
When, what month, I don't know, but
Right,
it
so
was
it-
clearly towards the end
And
of the war.
I just always thought that it was much earlier in the war that the USO started. That's all. I just, maybe some of our viewing public out there would find that a fascinating thing also. I mean, remember seeing, all the movies, and the seen being at what I thought was the USO, and that was certainly during the wartime. So.
Right, and that had been prior to this facility, because this facility kind of got started late. It come towards the end of the war.
Is it the 70th anniversary of this specific
Yeah, I
facility?
believe so.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
correct.
Bingo.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought you.
No, sorry.
Yeah, no.
All right, we're going to have to take another break here, unfortunately, or fortunately, because we've got to pay the bills here, keep the lights on. When we come back, we'll talk about the Petroglyph Festival coming up, and that'll be in November. So join us right when we come back.
Welcome back to our final segment here on the Thursday evening edition of Ridgecrest Talk. Again, I'm Robert Eierman, along with my partner Al Huey, and today we have Doug Lewick from the RACVB, and I'm not going to say what that stands for again, since it's such a mouthful. And while we were at break, you had some interesting information you wanted to share with us.
Yes, as you know, we're a visitor center, and part of the house we talked about, which was filming. The other part is that we work very hard at bringing tourists into Ridgecrest. It's very difficult for us. It always has been, because we're not at Disneyland, we're not on Knoxbury Farm, so he just doesn't, or have the beaches. So
I don't know. You say we're not at Disneyland. Have you been to any city council meeting? Not
well,
yet. I had to take that opportunity.
get your opportunity.
All emails and letters go
Yeah,
to
come to Robert. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's a challenge for our office, for anyone that for this region. We have 395 that blasts right by us, so it's hard to get people off of 395. So you have to work it at all angles. You have to think of things that you've never thought of to how to bring tourists through here. We have the Death Valley, which people come through here. We see the tour buses come through here. A lot of people don't understand why the tour buses don't stop here. I thoroughly understand why they don't, other than McDonald's, and maybe they stop at Stater Brothers or you know, other places just to get out for an hour and then they go on. But we do have a few that stay here overnight and go on. But the biggest majority, 7 to 8 buses come through here a day. People say, well, why can't they spend the night? Well, it's because it's been set up a year or so in advance that this tour group's going through, and they got to make it to Santa Barbara that night or wherever they're going to spend the next night. I'm with a group called Visit California. Visit California's got several regions, and we're in this region right here that you folks can see in front of you. It goes from, and I know the audience can't see this, but it goes from Ridgecrest all the way down to Palm Springs and further down. These folks are my partners, like 29 Palms, Palm Springs, Durango Springs. We're formed an alliance that what we do is we bring people in from all over the world. It could be French people, Chinese, Japanese, doesn't matter, Australian. We bring them in on tour buses. We start them either in Vegas, Los Angeles, or San Diego. We bring them through, and we try to have them spend a couple nights here.
Cool.
And then they'll spend a couple nights or one in Death Valley. They're a partner. So this year has really come together for us. It's been about 5 years in the working that we're finally, all the partners have really got to know each other very well by meetings and going places together. And they talk about us and we talk about them, which is very important. Because if I have a client from France that says, I want to come to Ridgecrest, well, we say, great, come into Los Angeles, come through Ridgecrest for a couple of days. We'll set it up where they can see the museums, stay in the hotels, whatever they want to do. We move them over to Death Valley. I'm on the phone at Death Valley. You got a group coming in advance. So want to spend a night there, on to Palm Springs, or over to 29 Palms. They do the same thing. Then they exit out to LA, here 10, 12, 14 days. So we're working on this, and what I'm so excited about it, we're past the talking stages with these companies. We're actually with the brokers and with the buyers now. They're actually asking us, okay, tell me what hotels, give me the cost. So we're putting these together, so we'll start seeing the first buses, hard buses that I'll get to see, starting in late 16, which would be probably the first tour come through in October. And then they'll start ratcheting up. Then into 2017, they'll be running about 2 buses a week through here and maybe more. So it's really exciting for all the regions because it's an economic boost for them. So we've got Palm Springs, which is my close partner, and believe me, Palm Springs is a huge organization. They have lots of money, and they're my partner. So if I have somebody that has that caliber that reaches all over the world, I want them to be my friend and my partner, and it
Absolutely.
boils over into our region. So they're actually promoting us, Ridgecrest, through their advertisement, because they want to get 3 days or 4 days or whatever they wind up getting, and Ridgecrest gets 2 or maybe 1. I mean, I'm not going to be, you know, and so this is what's happening in the big world of tourism on the tour bus area. Of course, we always work the individuals, the drive-through folks, through different agencies that come through, a family of 5 or maybe 10
Right,
or
right.
a couple. We have those all the time, and we work those hard.
Speaking of that kind of thing, it seems to me that, and I don't know, I'm not blaming anybody because I don't know who would be the responsible, but I've talked to so many people who have driven 14 and 395 for years, and they don't even have a clue that Ridgecrest is here.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like, you know, you talk about doing the things that haven't been done before. Well, I would like to talk about the things that are obvious that haven't been done, that should have been done for forever, and that's, in my opinion, a series of interesting billboards along 395 and along 14
Right.
that promote Ridgecrest.
An idea for
agree.
your bus tours coming up, there's just an idea popped into my head while we're sitting here, is promote them coming out to go to the highest point and the lowest point in the continental United States.
Right.
That would give you a couple days
Sure,
stay right
sure.
here before they head off to Palm
Sure,
Springs.
absolutely. That's a great idea, and those are the type of things.
A one-day trip up to Mount Whitney, the next
Right.
day Death Valley, and onward.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we work on.
And I think I heard the figure, I'm not sure if this is right, but 3 million people pass the Ridgecrest turnoff
Right.
on 395.
You're correct. You're correct.
And what do we have
Right.
to have them know that we even exist?
I agree with you on the signage, and it is a problem. Of course, it's economics, it's money. And we have one, which you know is south of here. As you
Yes.
come in, that's ours. We have one on 395 up by Brady's. But what you're talking about on 14 coming from Palmdale direction, I'm absolutely agree with you. And that's something that's on our radar screen. Of course, there's a cost factor
Yeah,
with that.
and I'm not talking about RACVB should be paying for it.
Well-
What I was leading to is if our mayor and our city council want to do economic development, one of the least costly economic development things is tourism. So if they're willing to spend a little money doing something, they ought to be willing to spend the money out there on those big, impressive series of billboards. That's my
I
idea.
agree.
We're running out of time. We only got 30 seconds, so 20 seconds. Tell us real quick
Petroglyph
about the festival.
Petroglyph Festival is for 2 days. Actually, we've moved it to 3. It's on Balsam Street and Ridgecrest Boulevard. We have the powwow, which will be held at the Kerr-McGee Center. We have the Gem and Mineral Club, or not club, but the Gem and Mineral Show will be at the Desert Empire Fair. And then, of course, we have community days for the base. We'll be helping with them, so we'll be working together.
And that's November 7th,
and 7th and 8th.
7th and 8th.
And boy, we ran out of time again, as it always happens. Join us again
Thanks for
next
being
week.
with us, Doug.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Sure.
sir. Thank you.
More Ridgecrest talk. We'll see you then.
Night, folks.